Foster care serves a necessary function, which essentially is to take children away from situations where they do need to be taken away from. Unfortunately, kids who enter foster care are at greater risk of becoming involved in the criminal justice system, end up having mental health problems, resorting to substance use. Upwards of 30–40% of kids end up homeless within years after leaving foster care. For many, the outcomes are pretty terrible. For a lot of kids, the best outcome might be to keep them with their parents, but not without the kind of supports that those parents need.
My name is Felicia. I'm 13 and I live in Brooklyn. This one with my mom. I don't know her. I haven't seen her for 13 years. That's crazy. I live with my dad. I have 7 sisters and brothers from my mom. They got different dads. All of them have to be in foster care.
When you look at families that come to the attention of child welfare, there's typically a lot of distress. There are economic issues. There are social support issues. There's not a strong fabric that knits that family together.
Come on, pay attention. I'll show you how to make the perfect bacon.
I see how my dad is. He's struggling. He's struggling trying to take care of me. People, they don't see why is he struggling. They don't see none of that.
So the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation provided CSH with the initial funds to actually implement this pilot. They posed a question to us of whether or not supportive housing could actually be a solution for many of the families who are known to have repeated involvement in the child welfare system, to see if the combination of housing and services could really strengthen that parent's ability to be a caregiver for their children.
When I was little, we was living in a shelter. I was 2 the first time I lived there. Then I think I was 8 the second time I was living there. I remember one time the social worker came in and was like, oh, you can't stay here with my dad.
She was like 4 years old when they took her. And yo, that was real hard. I was missing her and felt like I lost everything. ACS told me that they can't give you back your child if you got drugs in your system.
Nico, I need the letter for the stripper.
Okay, so I'll give that to you. You need to write a letter to them?
What keeping families together can do, and essentially what supportive housing does is really integrate affordable housing with an array of supportive services. Having services in and around people's homes is really core to being able to provide the right kind of care. And housing serves as that platform.
I need all of these.
This is for what? It's supportive housing to help them stabilize the family so that the children learn how to be stable. Like, making sure that they're going to school, check up on their attendance, making sure that they're getting their yearly physical. A lot of times when you're in the shelter, your focus is not on your medical, your focus is on housing. And if you've been in the shelter for 3 years working on housing, you're neglected your medical needs, you're neglected your educational needs, you're neglected your employment needs.
One of them is to take to my job, because anytime you work at night, they supposed to give you night differential. I don't see no night differential on my check. That's number one.
Okay, so I'm gonna dial the number. You're gonna talk to them while I type the letter.
In addition to affordable housing, and that case manager, families were given access to specialty services, mental health, substance use, primary health needs, to strengthen both the parents and children. Let them both be a resource to one another.
Casey, in this one? I'm so lucky my dad got picked in this building. It's like, oh my God, Dad, we were gonna move. Because we were still in the shelter. But now I've been in this apartment for 3 years. It's just fun. I met Casey and her twin, Jessie.
I got more than you. That's what you wanted?
Our public systems are fragmented. So we pulled together an interagency work group to coordinate the government agencies and all the providers to participate in this pilot.
Programs that succeed with really at-risk families succeed because they can knit services together. Families experience it as a single coherent program when in fact they're bringing together multiple agencies and multiple funding streams into one place.
Nicola, she helped me to get Felicia in the Girl Scouts. I'm really trying to get Felicia involved with a lot of things so she don't get involved with the wrong things out there, you know what I'm saying?
Bye, Dad.
See you.
Him being a single dad with a little girl. At one point in time, we had referred her to a mental health professional because of the issue with her not having her mom around. But I think he's like one of the best supports that she can have. She's been doing really well, really well.
It was a small-scale pilot, but we saw some pretty dramatic changes. We had a 91% housing retention rate, which is pretty remarkable given the housing instability that these families had had. School attendance rates went up from about 60% attendance to closer to 80 to 85%. By the end of the pilot, there were no child removals, and we reduced the number of open cases by 61%.
It's a public-private partnership that's cost-effective. That's why we've been so proud to have been the catalyst that started this, but it's just the beginning.
We can really take keeping families together, replicate it, and make sure that we're really getting the long-term outcomes that the model would suggest we should.
This time.